FightNews.com, being joined by a veteran in the industry. I'm talking a pro, Sean Wheelock. Sean, I appreciate you taking that time to talk, man.
Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it, man. Thank you
my
very
pleasure,
much.
my pleasure. First off, I got to ask, what do you think about the expo so far, and what are you looking forward to the most?
This is great for me. It's funny. I'm kind of a 15-year-old kid again. I was just talking to Gerard Gordeau when you walked up.
Yeah.
Pat Smith actually rode over with Art Davie and me in the rental car.
Yeah.
That's a big thrill for me.
Right.
Because before I was a commentator, I was a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
You know, as we wrote in the book, Is This Legal? Yeah. My mom paid the $14.95. I was a kid in Shawnee, Kansas. My mom paid the $14.95, and I'm one of the few who watched the event live as it happened.
And now, going on, like you were saying, being a true fan of the sport, it never goes away in events like this. You know what I mean? You always turn back into that kid. Oh man, there goes Ensign Inhofe over there. There goes Burt Watson over there. You know what I mean? Everybody's here in one solid place, and you can't help but be that childhood fan again.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, like, you know, Felice Herrig is in the next booth. I like Felice, I'm going to go say hi, but I know her. We're peers because we had her in Bellator.
Yeah.
But when I'm seeing Gerard Gordeau, I'm geeking out. I'm just a complete hardcore fan on this. This is great. I mean, to meet MMA fans, to meet MMA people, fighters, contemporaries, guys from the past, this is great. I really hope to do a lot more of these.
Absolutely. And like I said, us talking about turning into a kid, I'm like a kid on Christmas right now talking to you because I've been watching you so long in the sport, so it's an honor for me. But let's get into the book. How did you get aligned with Art Davie, and how did you co-write this book with him? How did all that come to fruition?
Art and I developed a friendship a few years ago, and we just started talking about what could we do. And I really thought it was important that people knew him. When Art and I started talking, he was kind of a forgotten figure in MMA. Some older hardcores knew who he was, but he kind of receded. And the thing is, too, Art and Rorion Gracie sold the UFC to Bob Meyerowitz after UFC 5. Meyerowitz then brought back Art, and he was there through UFC 19. But UFC 19 is a long time ago. Yeah. It was important to me that Art Davie's legacy was out there, that people understood what he did. He really, to me, is the creator of what we call MMA. Of course, there was mixed match fighting before, there was pancrase, there was Vale Tudo, there was catch as catch can. But what we understand as MMA started with Art Davie. We talked about different ideas, and in the summer of 2011, I just started late at night after my kid went to sleep and my wife went to sleep. We just started talking, and I would get him to tell stories, and then we would record. And I thought, all right, well, what are we going to do with these recordings? And we turned the recordings into a book. And we talked about what's the best way to tell the story. Sure. And we thought, do we talk to all the fighters, the participants? But all roads led back to Art Davie. Rorion Gracie, Art Davie found Rorion Gracie. Bob Meyerowitz, Art Davie found Bob Meyerowitz. Campbell McLaren, he was there working. The fighters, all those roads lead back to Art Davie. And I thought, you know what, Art, this is your story. This is your story to tell in the first person, because all these characters, John Milius, come in, Gerard Gordeau, Taylor Tooley, Ken Shamrock, they all come in through Art Davie. And that's why we shaped the book that way, through his voice, his personal recollection.
And I remember you saying when we were off record before, you were saying that this wasn't a ghost-written book. You were very in tune with each other throughout the whole writing process. Does it make it that much more intimate and special on a level, you know, if you will?
Absolutely. You know, in a lot of situations you hear with celebrities, they say they write a book. What they really did was they sat down with a writer for maybe 2 hours, and they said a couple of things, and maybe they had a follow-up interview, and then the book is written. I think there's the famous thing on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. Senator Harry Reid is there promoting his autobiography. And Jon Stewart's pointing out photos, and Harry Reid's going, wow, I've not seen that photo in 50 years, which shows you he had no idea about the book. Art Davie and I, it was absolutely writing partners. We were co-authors on this. Art would tell me stories. He would write things up. I would change the narrative. I would write things back. We just literally would send it back and forth. I mean, Art Davie and I talk probably 5, 6, 7 times a week. When we were writing the book, we were talking about 5 times a day, 7 days a week. I asked him so many questions, I thought he was going to stop liking me. Thankfully, he didn't. But everything that I thought anybody would want to know is in the book, because I wanted to know. Why Denver, Colorado? Why an 8-man tournament? Where did the cage come from? Everything that I thought would be interesting is in there, and I'm really proud of the fact that it's all true. It's all true. There's no posturing, there's no fluff, there's no hyperbole, there's no half-truths, definitely no lies, there's no fiction. It is the 100% true story.
And I'm definitely looking forward to reading the book, but moving on from the book and moving on towards the man here. congratulations on your Titan FC
Thank
gig.
you. Really
Can you
excited.
tell me how that came to fruition?
Yeah, I put it out there, you know, when Spike TV decided they didn't want me to do Bellator anymore, I very much wanted to remain as an MMA commentator.
Yeah.
And I had some people call me. I continue to get phone calls. My agent, some things I'm very interested. Some things sounded great, and I don't know if they'll come about. And I got a call from Jeff Aronson. I didn't recognize the number. It was a Florida number on my cell phone.
Yeah.
I picked it up. I thought maybe I won a free cruise, which every time I get an unknown call from Florida, it's usually I've won a free cruise.
You weren't that lucky this time.
But I was extremely fortunate that it was Jeff Aronson. And
Right.
we talked, and
Yeah.
I'm an admirer of his, and apparently I'm very flattered he's been an admirer of my work, and
Sure.
we got a deal done very quickly. And the interesting thing is, I started at Titan. Before I went to Pride, I started at Titan. The very first MMA I ever commentated was Titan. Now, this was the Titan of Joe Kelly. You're
Yeah.
talking over a decade ago at Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas. But I like that it's kind of come full circle
Right.
on it. Titan is now much different. Obviously, I'm a much different person, much
That's
different
awesome.
broadcaster.
Now, final thing I want to touch on is you also have your show with Big John McCarthy. Let's get it on. How did that come to fruition, and how's that going for you?
That was I like these cold calls. I'm glad I pick up on. That's why it's a good lesson. If you don't recognize the number, go ahead and pick it up. Good things might happen, or you might win a free cruise. But I got a phone call, and this is actually someone who I've been friends with for a long time, and he
Yeah.
said, "Oh, I'm starting a podcast company. Would you be interested in doing a podcast?" And I said, "Yeah, but I'd really like to do it with John McCarthy.
Sure.
John and I are close friends. I thought that'd be an interesting dynamic."
Absolutely.
That was the easiest sell in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, he wanted me anyway. I said, "I'll bring in John McCarthy."
Right.
And we did a pilot, and we all felt really good about it. Basically, the parameters we're given is go about 60 or 70 minutes a week.
Right.
Even though we don't own the show, Ignotainment out of St. Louis owns the show, we get 100% content control. They
Yeah.
don't tell us what to say, how to
Right.
say it. We don't have to put anybody over.
That's
Don't say
awesome.
this, no agenda. We have so much fun. I think it comes out when people listen.
Yeah.
First of all, it comes out, John is one of my best friends in the world.
Sure.
We're business partners. We're really close to each other's families, all of that. Incredible mutual respect there.
Right.
But I think it's a really fun show. We enjoy doing it. John one time said, it's kind of cathartic
Yeah.
being able to talk about
Yeah.
all this stuff.
It's almost like a therapy session for some.
It really is. It really is. And there's so many good podcasts out there, so we wanted to be different.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the same. There are great shows out there, but we didn't want to replicate
Absolutely.
that. So we think that we approach MMA and combat sports from a slightly different perspective.
Absolutely. Well, look, that's going to do it for us. I'm here with the man, famous in the field. Like I said, I'm a fan of his. It's an honor to talk to him. Sean Wheelock, I appreciate your time.
Honor to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.